His wife said, "If you don't trust me hanging out with my ex every weekend, maybe we should divorce." What he did next breaks her. "If you don't trust me hanging out with my ex every weekend, maybe we should divorce." Those were the devastating words Jenna hurled at her husband like she was discarding trash. Confident that her beauty, her options, and her rich ex-boyfriend made her bulletproof in their marriage. She had no idea that the quiet man she'd been cheating on for months had already begun orchestrating something that would change both their lives forever. What happened next will make you question everything you think you know about trust, betrayal, and the dangerous game of taking someone's loyalty for granted. Viewers, what will you do if your wife said those words to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The plates were still warm on the table when Cole Harrington pulled out his phone. The glow of the screen lit up his tired eyes as he scrolled through updates from colleagues, old classmates, neighbors. And then he stopped. There she was, Jenna, his wife, his partner of 3 years, smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at him in months. Her hair loose, head tilted back in laughter. And beside her, arms slung casually but too close around her waist, was Ryan Brooks. The ex she once swore was her past. The caption beneath the photo was harmless on the surface. "Great night catching up with old friends." But Cole's gut knew better. The way Ryan's hand rested on her hip wasn't friendship. The way her body leaned toward him wasn't nostalgia. It was something else. Something Cole had feared but never dared to confront. He set the phone down slowly. His palms were damp. He waited until Jenna came back from the kitchen, drying her hands with a dish towel, humming some pop song like nothing was wrong. She sat across from him, her eyes flicking to his phone for just a second, then back up at his face. "Jenna," Cole said, his voice steady though his heart pounded. "I'm not comfortable with this, with you spending so much time with Ryan. Every weekend it's the same thing, he's your ex. It doesn't sit right with me." The humming stopped. Jenna tilted her head, studying him like he was some clueless stranger who had just said the wrong thing at a dinner party. Then her lips curved, not an apology but in a smirk. "If you don't trust me hanging out with my ex every weekend," she said, her tone sharp as glass, "maybe we should just divorce." The words hit the room like a slap. The ticking clock on the wall suddenly sounded louder. Cole blinked, searching her face for some sign she was joking, but Jenna's eyes glowed with something colder than anger, contempt, and as if that wasn't enough, she leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and delivered the line that would sear itself into his memory forever. "If Ryan hadn't gone broke back then, do you think I'd have married you? He's everything you're not. Now he's rich again, and he wants me back." The room spun. His chest felt tight, like air itself had turned heavy. He wanted to scream, to ask her how she could say that after all he'd sacrificed, after the nights he stayed up helping her with bills, after the time he'd turned down that overseas promotion just so they could stay close to family. But Cole didn't scream. He didn't beg. He didn't even raise his voice. He looked at her for a long, long moment. Then he nodded once and whispered one word. "Okay." Jenna's smirk widened. She thought he was defeated. She thought his silence was weakness. She pushed her chair back, scoffed, and walked away, humming again like she had won. Cole sat there, staring at the phone screen, her laughter frozen in that photo. But deep inside, something in him shifted. A steel thread pulled tight. She thought she had broken him. She had no idea she had just lit a fire that would burn her entire world down. That night, long after Jenna had gone to bed, Cole sat in his study, the house quiet except for the ticking clock. His fingers hovered over his laptop keys as he pulled up an old email. To Mr. Carter, Regional Director. Subject, Overseas Transfer. If the position you once offered is still available, I'd like to accept. Please advise on next steps. He hit send. The glow of the screen reflected in his eyes, not tired now, but alive. The game had just begun. The house was silent when the email notification appeared. Cole leaned closer, the screen's glow catching the edge of his glasses. "Cole?" The overseas transfer is still open. The Singapore office is ready to bring you in as Regional Director of IT Infrastructure. Salary package doubled, housing provided, relocation covered, departure within 1 month. Please confirm. He stared at it for a long moment. This was the very offer he had turned down once before, choosing Jenna over career, choosing stability over ambition. That night at the dining table replayed in his mind, the smirk, the contempt, the casual cruelty of her words. He clicked reply. Confirmed. Send me the paperwork. No hesitation, no second thoughts. The first stone of his escape was set. Friday evening. Jenna appeared in the doorway, silver dress clinging to her figure, perfume swirling through the air. She checked herself once in the mirror, smoothed her hair and grabbed her purse. Don't wait up, she said, already half turned toward the door. Cole closed his laptop, eyes steady on her. Have fun? For the briefest second, her eyes searched his face. She expected jealousy, protest, something to show he cared enough to fight. But his expression gave her nothing. She smirked and left, her heels tapping against the hardwood until the house fell quiet again. Cole sat still, listening to the echo fade. The sound no longer hurt. It fueled him. He picked up his phone and dialed his lawyer. I want divorce papers drawn, he said evenly. Quiet filing. Don't serve them until I instruct you. The lawyer agreed. No questions. Cole ended the call, leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. Silence stretched around him. To Jenna, his calm looked like surrender, but Cole knew better. Silence was simply the mask of a storm, one she would never see coming until it tore her world apart. Midweek, the contract landed in his inbox. Official, final, departure date marked in bold, 4 weeks. Cole downloaded the file, signed digitally, and returned it within minutes. His chest felt lighter, like a chain had snapped. This time he wasn't turning it down. That night, he opened a drawer in his study. Inside were their financial records, statements, deeds, credit card bills. He flipped through them carefully, his thumb pressing against the embossed paper. Numbers stared back at him, each one telling the story of years of sacrifice he had made to keep Jenna comfortable. Vacations she wanted, her boutique investment, bills he carried alone. The sight didn't bring regret. It brought clarity. This wouldn't be just an exit. It would be a lesson. The weekends became clockwork. Friday nights she left. Sunday nights she returned. And in between, the world outside saw her glowing, laughing in rooftop photos, glasses of wine in hand, Ryan's shadow always near. Cole watched from the sidelines. Her own husband turned into an afterthought. He didn't argue. He didn't demand explanations. He let her dig her own grave, one post at a time. Every time she tilted her head back in laughter beside Ryan, Cole filed it away in silence. Proof, evidence, ammunition. Saturday noon, Jenna breezed out again, phone in her hand, Ryan's car idling at the curb. She didn't even look back. Cole waited until the street was empty before making his next move. Cole pulled out his phone and scrolled to a contact he had saved long ago but never used. A private realtor. Not the kind that plastered homes online with glossy photos, but one who dealt with corporate buyers, quiet, fast, and discreet. The man answered on the second ring. Cole's voice was low, steady. I need the property moved, Cole said flatly. Discreet. No public listing. Wire transfer only. Closing aligned with my departure. The realtor didn't hesitate. He specialized in off-market deals, the kind where corporate investors scooped up prime real estate without questions. Understood, he replied. I'll line up buyers. You'll have your transfer before you leave. That was all Cole needed. Another piece in place. The days blurred together. Cole worked long hours at the office, finalizing transition notes for his team. He told no one about the transfer, not even his closest colleagues. On the surface, he was the same dependable systems analyst. In reality, he was a man cutting ties thread by thread. Every evening he returned home to the same routine. Jenna breezing in late, sometimes not at all, makeup smudged, perfume too sharp. She no longer bothered to invent excuses. And Cole didn't ask for any. His silence became a mirror that let her arrogance grow unchecked. She thought he was too beaten to react. She thought she had tamed him. But every night in his study, under the soft hum of the desk lamp, Cole was moving pieces she couldn't see. Financial records were spread across the desk, account numbers memorized, timelines drawn. Step by step, the plan hardened. One evening, Jenna walked past his study door with a shopping bag in her hand, laughing into her phone. Her words carried clearly down the hall. "He doesn't even notice when I'm gone. Honestly, it's easier this way." Cole sat still, pen in hand, the divorce documents half signed on his desk. He didn't flinch, didn't let her hear a sound. But inside, a line had been drawn so sharp it felt like steel. This wasn't just about leaving her. This was about ensuring that when he left nothing behind for her to cling to. Midweek, his director in Singapore sent over the official relocation schedule, housing details, orientation meetings, his first day on site. Each line of the itinerary felt like a hammer striking a nail into the coffin of his old life. Cole read through the email twice. His new role, Regional Director of IT Infrastructure, came with authority, prestige, and a salary that would have once made Jenna's eyes widen. But she would never see it. She had bet on Ryan, the man who had already gone bankrupt once. And Cole wasn't about to save her from that mistake. Saturday morning arrived with the usual rhythm. Jenna dressed quickly, threw a scarf around her neck, and stepped into Ryan's waiting car without a glance at Cole. He watched from the upstairs window, hands resting on the sill, face calm. When the car disappeared around the corner, he turned back into the room and picked up the phone. Cole's phone buzzed on Wednesday morning. A new email from the relocation department in Singapore. Final confirmation, departure scheduled for 1 week from today, housing prepared, orientation meetings confirmed. Driver will meet you at Changi Airport. We look forward to welcoming you as regional director. 1 week, 7 days. The clock wasn't ticking anymore. It was roaring in his ears. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes for a moment. It was set. By the time the week ended, he'd be gone. The house would no longer be theirs, and Jenna would be staring at a world she couldn't fix. That night, Jenna came home late, laughing into her phone, Ryan's name flashing across the screen before she silenced it. She set her shopping bags on the couch, tossed her heels onto the rug, and walked past Cole without a glance. She thought silence meant weakness, but Cole wasn't weak. He was patient, and patience was about to become her undoing. Friday night arrived. Jenna stepped into the bedroom in a fitted red dress, perfume heavy in the air. She didn't hide her excitement. Ryan was waiting. Cole sat at the table, reading through one last email from his lawyer. Divorce papers finalized, filed, not served, ready on your command. Cole closed the laptop and looked up just as Jenna walked out the door, suitcase rolling behind her. She didn't say goodbye. He didn't need her to. Saturday morning, he met the realtor downtown. A quiet office, a thick contract slid across the polished desk. Corporate buyer secured, the man said. Cash wire transfer arranged. Closing date set for Friday, same day as your flight. Cole scanned the lines, nodded once, and pushed the papers back. Make it happen. The realtor smiled. It's already done. By the time he drove home, Jenna was already gone again. Ryan's car had picked her up at the curb that morning, her laughter ringing through the open window. Cole watched from the upstairs window as she vanished around the corner, unaware she'd never walk back into that house as its owner again. On Sunday evening, she returned, glowing from the weekend, lipstick smudged at the corner of her mouth. She set her keys on the counter, looked at him with a smirk, and shook her head like he was the fool for staying. Cole rinsed his coffee cup, dried it with precision, and placed it back on the shelf. He walked past her without a word. She didn't deserve words. Later that night, as the city pulsed outside their window, Cole sat on the edge of the bed with his phone in his hand. He scrolled through the calendar again. 6 days left. 6 days until the house no longer belonged to them. 6 days until the accounts were emptied. 6 days until Jenna returned to find her life reduced to nothing but bags on a sidewalk. Cole set the phone down, slid under the sheets, and closed his eyes. Monday morning, Cole stood in the garage, the air heavy with the smell of oil and concrete. The sedan he had driven for years sat on one side, its paint still. Cole's phone buzzed on Wednesday morning. A new email from the relocation department in Singapore. Final confirmation. Departure scheduled for 1 week from today. Housing prepared. Orientation meetings confirmed. Driver will meet you at Changi Airport. We look forward to welcoming you as regional director. 1 week. 7 days. The clock wasn't ticking anymore. It was roaring in his ears. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes for a moment. It was set. By the time the week ended, he'd be gone. The house would no longer be theirs, and Jenna would be staring at a world she couldn't fix. That night, Jenna came home late, laughing into her phone, Ryan's name flashing across the screen before she silenced it. She set her shopping bags on the couch, tossed her heels onto the rug, and walked past Cole without a glance. She thought silence meant weakness. But Cole wasn't weak. He was patient. And patience was about to become her undoing. Friday night arrived. Jenna stepped into the bedroom in a fitted red dress, perfume heavy in the air. She didn't hide her excitement. Ryan was waiting. Cole sat at the table reading through one last email from his lawyer. Divorce papers finalized, filed, not served. Ready on your command. Cole closed the laptop and looked up just as Jenna walked out the door, suitcase rolling behind her. She didn't say goodbye. He didn't need her to. Saturday morning, he met the realtor downtown. A quiet office, a thick contract slid across the polished desk. Corporate buyer secured, the man said. Cash wire transfer arranged. Closing date set for Friday, same day as your flight. Cole scanned the lines, nodded once, and pushed the papers back. Make it happen. The realtor smiled. It's already done. By the time he drove home, Jenna was already gone again. Ryan's car had picked her up at the curb that morning, her laughter ringing through the open window. Cole watched from the upstairs window as she vanished around the corner, unaware she'd never walk back into that house as its owner again. On Sunday evening, she returned, glowing from the weekend, lipstick smudged at the corner of her mouth. She set her keys on the counter, looked at him with a smirk, and shook her head like he was the fool for staying. Cole rinsed his coffee cup, dried it with precision, and placed it back on the shelf. He walked past her without a word. She didn't deserve words. Later that night, as the city pulsed outside their window, Cole sat on the edge of the bed with his phone in his hand. He scrolled through the calendar again. 6 days left. 6 days until the house no longer belonged to them. 6 days until the accounts were emptied. 6 days until Jenna returned to find her life reduced to nothing but bags on a sidewalk. Cole set the phone down, slid under the sheets, and closed his eyes. From careful upkeep. Beside it was Jenna's coupe, the one she had begged for on her birthday, and then abandoned once Ryan became her weekend chauffeur. He dialed a number. An hour later, the broker pulled into the driveway. A solid man in a dark jacket, clipboard in hand. He walked slowly around the garage, eyes scanning both vehicles. He crouched by the tires, checked the odometers, ran his fingers along the paint. Then he lifted his phone and snapped photos one after another. Both in excellent condition, the broker said, sliding his phone back into his pocket. These will move quickly. Cole nodded. His voice was calm, flat. List them quietly. Finalize the sale Friday. Funds wired directly into my account. The broker scribbled notes, glanced up once at Cole, then gave a short nod. Consider it done. Cole walked him back to the driveway. The broker drove off, taillights disappearing down the street. Cole stood there for a moment, hands in his pockets, staring at the two cars sitting silently in the garage. The week pressed forward. At the office, Cole completed the last of his handovers, his signature neat on clearance forms, his explanations clear in transition notes. No one suspected he was vanishing in days. He wore the same calm expression, moved with the same steady pace. Inside, he was already gone. Midweek, an email from the relocation team confirmed everything once more. Flight departure Friday evening. Orientation meeting set for Monday morning. A company driver waiting at Changi Airport with apartment keys in hand. The subject line read, "Welcome to your new beginning." Cole closed the laptop slowly, letting the words settle. A new beginning for him. A brutal ending for her. Jenna continued flaunting Ryan openly. Photos filled her feed. Rooftop dinners, cocktails, late-night drives in his car. Her captions dripped with arrogance. Finally living life the way it should be. Cole scrolled once, then set the phone aside. He didn't need reminders of her betrayal. Every post was just proof she had no idea her time was measured in hours, not months. On Thursday, the realtor called. Buyer's funds confirmed, closing scheduled for tomorrow morning. Locks will be changed same day. The property won't be yours past noon. Good, Cole said. Make sure nothing delays it. Already arranged. Thursday night stretched out long and thin. Jenna never came home. Cole lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the clock glowing 1 a.m., then 2, then 3 hours. The bed felt lighter without her. Cleaner. He rose before dawn, showered, dressed in a dark suit, and brewed one last cup of coffee in the quiet kitchen. He stood by the counter, cup in hand, watching the sunrise bleed over the city skyline. The first knock came just after sunrise. Cole opened the door to 3 movers in heavy gloves. He stepped aside without a word. Cole led them through the hallway. A closet door opened, hangers scraped along the bar, and the first dresses hit the box. The hiss of packing tape followed, sharp and final. Upstairs, shoes clattered together, handbags piled high, perfumes rattled as they were wrapped in paper. One man muttered about the weight of a vanity mirror as another steadied it against his chest. Within an hour, the life Jenna had curated, her clothes, her jewelry boxes, the framed photos she loved showing off, was stacked outside the gate. Neighbors slowed their morning walks, heads turning at the sight of expensive luggage and labeled cartons sitting in the open. Cole signed the foreman's clipboard without a word. The truck pulled away, leaving behind silence and a mountain of her belongings in the sun. The growl of an engine rolled into the driveway next. The broker climbed out, jacket collar turned up, clipboard in hand. He didn't need introductions. He had been here earlier in the week. Today wasn't about inspection. Buyers are ready, he said. Cole nodded once. Do it. The sedan left first, tires crunching across the pavement as the broker eased it into gear. Minutes later, Jenna's coupe followed, the same car she once begged for, now just another asset liquidated. Engines faded down the street. The garage stood hollow. The broker sent the confirmation before he even reached the corner. Funds wired. Transaction complete. Cole slid the phone back into his pocket. Another tie cut. Inside, the realtor spread contracts across the empty kitchen counter. A buyer's representative stood by, phone pressed to his ear. Cole signed where the markers flagged, one after another. A buzz on the buyer's phone ended the process. Funds cleared. The realtor gathered the papers into a folder, then placed a manila envelope on the counter, keys to a house that was no longer theirs. The locksmith is on the way, he said. Cole picked up his suitcase and stepped outside. The locksmith's van pulled up minutes later. Tools clinked, metal scraped. One lock, then another, then the garage. Fresh steel fitted in every frame. The man wiped his hands on a rag and passed the new keys to the buyer's agent. Cole watched in silence, suitcase by his side as the van pulled away. Behind him, the house was sealed. By noon, he sat across from a bank manager in a private office. Papers slid across polished wood. Screens glowed with balances. Every joint account, Cole said. Shut them down. Move everything here. He tapped the slip with his personal details. Freeze her cards. The keyboard clattered. Balances shifted. The manager looked up. Confirmed. Effective immediately. Cole signed the last page, slipped the receipts into his jacket, and left. His phone buzzed twice. The broker. Funds received for both vehicles. The realtor. Closing recorded. Possession complete. The driver waited at the curb, engine humming. Cole stepped out of the bank's glass doors with the same calm he'd carried all week. No hesitation, no wasted motion. He opened the back door, slid inside, and gave a nod. Traffic carried them toward the airport. Glass towers reflected the fading sun. Neon signs flickered awake. Cole sat straight, one hand on his jacket, the other resting on his knee. The driver didn't ask questions. At the terminal, Cole handed him a folded bill. "Thank you." The man tipped his cap. "Safe travels, sir." Cole took his passport from his inside pocket, wheeled his carry-on to the sliding doors, and disappeared into the flood of travelers. Within the hour, his boarding pass was stamped, his seat by the window secured. When the engines lifted the plane into the sky, the city shrank to scattered lights below. He didn't look back. Somewhere across town, Jenna was laughing with Ryan, posting another photo, certain the future was hers. Across town, headlights washed over the curb as Ryan pulled up to Jenna's gate. She leaned over, kissed him quick, and stepped out, heels clicking against the pavement. Her smile faltered. Boxes, luggage, a stack of them pressed against the gate, illuminated by the porch light like evidence in a trial. Her dresses, her handbags, even the jewelry case she kept in the dresser drawer. All of it sat exposed, as though the house itself had spat her out. "What the?" she whispered. She yanked her keys from her purse and jammed one into the lock. It turned halfway, stuck, refused. She twisted harder. Nothing. She moved to the side gate. Same. Her pulse thudded in her ears. She dialed Cole, straight to voicemail. Again, still voicemail. "Damn it, answer me," she hissed, voice cracking. Neighbors' curtains shifted. A porch light flicked on across the street. Jenna shoved her phone back into her purse, heat burning across her face. She crouched, ripped open a box. Dresses spilled out, neat and folded, tagged with mover's tape. Her hands shook as she crammed them back inside. "No, this isn't happening. Not like this." Her jaw clenched. She grabbed a suitcase, dragged it to the curb, and waved down a passing cab. The hotel lobby smelled of polished wood and lemon cleaner. Jenna smoothed her hair, forced a smile, and approached the desk. "One room just for tonight." The clerk tapped at his keyboard. "Of course, ma'am. May I see your card?" She slid one across. Nails tapped against the counter while she waited. The reader beeped. Declined. The clerk frowned, tried again. Declined. Jenna forced a brittle laugh. "Machine's acting up. Try this one." She pushed another card forward. Beep. Declined. Her throat tightened. She shoved another card onto the counter. Beep. Declined. The clerk's voice softened. "Ma'am, I'm afraid none of these are valid." The lobby tilted. Jenna grabbed her cards, stuffed them back into her purse, and wheeled her suitcase out into the night. Cold air slapped her face. She stumbled to the curb, dropped onto her luggage, and pressed her forehead into her palms. Mascara streaked across her cheeks, tears mixing with sweat. She tried Ryan's number. It rang once, then cut. She tried again. "This line is unavailable." Her chest heaved. For the first time in months, there was no Ryan, no Cole, no home, no money. Just the street and the dark. The woman who thought she couldn't be touched was finally stranded, alone. Humiliated and stranded, Jenna swallows her pride and takes a cab to her parents' house in the middle of the night. The cab's headlights carved a path through quiet streets. Jenna hunched in the back seat with her luggage pressed against her knees. She gave the driver her parents' address in a shaky voice, wiping at her cheeks as if that would erase the damage. When the cab stopped, the porch light flicked on. Her mother stood in the doorway, robe tied tight, eyes wide. Behind her, her father leaned against the frame, his jaw already set. "Jenna?" her mother asked, stepping forward. What on earth? Why are you here with bags in the middle of the night? Jenna dragged her suitcase up the steps. Words tangled in her throat. It's Cole. He locked me out. Her father's brow furrowed. Locked you out? What do you mean? I don't know. Her voice cracked, too loud for the quiet street. I came home and everything was outside. My keys don't work, my cards. She stopped herself, shaking her head. I don't know what happened. Her mother's hand cupped her cheek, gentle but firm. Come inside. We'll sort this out in the morning. Jenna nodded, biting back another sob. She wheeled her suitcase over the threshold, the house warm but suffocating. She felt smaller here than she ever had before. Sleep never came. She lay awake on the sofa bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the boxes at the gate, the locked door, the cold eyes of neighbors peering from behind curtains. Her phone buzzed just after dawn. The screen lit with an unfamiliar number. She hesitated, then swiped to answer. Mrs. Harrington? The voice was calm, professional. This is James Keaton, counsel for your husband. I need you to come by my office this morning. There are documents you need to receive. Her chest tightened. Documents? Yes, it won't take long. 10 a.m. The line went dead before she could respond. By mid-morning, she sat stiff in a leather chair across from a tall man in a tailored suit. His office smelled faintly of polished wood and paper. On the desk before him lay a thick envelope, sealed. He slid it across to her. From Mr. Harrington. Jenna tore it open, hands trembling. The first page was official, heavy with stamps and signatures, divorce papers. The second was handwritten. Her eyes caught the familiar strokes of Cole's handwriting. She read aloud under her breath, voice breaking with each line. Jenna, you thought my silence meant weakness. You mistook patience for surrender. All this time you believed you were untouchable, parading with your ex while I stood still. But stillness is not the same as defeat. It is the quiet before a storm. The storm has passed now, and it took everything with it. The house you mocked me in? Sold. The keys you twisted in vain last night belong to someone else. The cars you bragged about? Driven away. Paid for in full. You will never sit behind their wheels again. The accounts you drained with your shopping bags and empty luxuries? Closed. Every cent rests in my name alone. The cards in your purse are nothing but plastic now. By the time you hold this letter, I will be thousands of feet above the ocean, on my way to Singapore. A new life. A new beginning. A title and position you once told me I would never have. I was always more than enough. You just chose not to see it. You wanted freedom, Jenna. Now you have it. Freedom from the roof I built, the cars I paid for, the life I carried. Freedom to stand alone beside the man you chose to worship. I wonder how long he'll carry you when the bills come due. This is the last gift I'll give you. The truth. You were never leaving me. I was always leaving you. Have fun with your ex. Cole. The paper slid from her fingers, landing on the desk with a whisper. Her chest heaved. She shook her head as if denying it could undo it. But the stamps on the divorce decree, the ink in his handwriting, the cold finality of his words, they left no room for hope. Her father's voice echoed in her head, the warning he'd given her the night she first brought Ryan around. Don't play games with loyalty, Jenna. You don't win them. Tears blurred the page. She reached for it again, clutching it with both hands as though she could will the words away. But the ink didn't move, and Cole was already gone. Viewers, this is what betrayal breeds. Silence that cuts deeper than words, and consequences no apology can undo. Tell me, was Cole right to walk away and leave her with nothing? Or should he have shown mercy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting and true-to-life stories.